Welcome, heathens and witches, to the Horn
and Cauldron
podcast pub chat edition, which means grab yourself a bev. Look at this. Look at this. She's drinking a bev, and if you're listening to this, look anyway. You can do better.
I mean, I am always drinking a bev.
If it doesn't have alcohol in it, it's not a bev.
Oh,
it's at best just wet. At best, wet.
Sometimes I'm drinking.
It doesn't gain the gift of bev until the sauce. Yeah, this is how that works. I don't make these rules. All right, that's just how this works. So she's drinking wine. I've got what did I call it?
Silly spicy peach margarita.
silly chili mango peach margarita.
Yes.
So you get to guess what's in that because it's more than just tequila. And also, I have to rush the clock to do this podcast before I get who I am. Anywho, today is a pub chat, which means that welcome back. It is now the time where I am in charge, and the laughing that you're hearing in the walls, ignore that. It's a feature of the times when I'm in charge. So, I was thinking about what we wanted to talk about today. And then had an idea and promptly forgot it. So we'll see if that idea ever comes back. Maybe that one's just for somebody else. You're welcome. And but then I came up with another one. Don't worry, I got it. I figured it out. So with us approaching the end of winter, fingers crossed that the Eldritch underground land animal that decides our weather has given us springtime or whatever the fuck that's all about.
Like the groundhog literally did that like a month ago.
Yeah, whatever, man. I mean, listen, he's the one who has to cast a spell. We just observe him casting it.
I don't even...
Or whatever this is.
We live in a different part of the U.S. than the groundhog does, so our weather is interesting.
Do we have a different land animal?
Yeah,
is it a weasel? Is it a pigeon?
No.
Or, a seagull. I bet ours is a seagull.
We just do ours with the tortoise, with Bortus, our tortoise.
I mean, personally in this house have a wizard trapped in a tortoise.
And Bortus has decided that spring is here.
Yeah.
He has been sleeping on the porch of his little house.
Yeah.
Outside. He'd be wilding right now.
Outside of his house. Inside of our house.
Oh, yes. He has like a habitat inside of the house.
Yeah.
But he has a tiny house
two things.
inside of his
One,
habitat.
it's too wet for that guy. And two, they're escape artists. This is what happens when you trap a mage in a tortoise, right? Or a dry turtle. Both are acceptable terms. It means that they are definitely trying to escape by any means necessary. So you just have to keep that in mind when you're designing a habitat for them.
Even through death.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. We did like a little 2-story action for him for like a little bit. And he would like to climb to the top and then jump off it. And we were just like, shut it down. So we took his ramp away. He can't go to the top no more.
It was cute until one time he landed kind of sideways and we're like, never again.
Yeah. At first we thought he was just like playing. And then we were like, oh, you're trying to escape your imprisonment. You have 100 years trapped in that guy, dude. You have to do that. Like you don't besmirch. You brought dishonor to your family in the court of wizards or whatever the fuck's going on there. So like that's on you. Also, if you have a tortoise, is yours a regular dry turtle or is it a wizard trapped in a dry turtle? Think about it.
Because ours is
definitely a wizard trapped in a dry turtle. He's very sassy. It's just what it is.
My mom has some tortoises, and her largest tortoise and oldest tortoise is definitely just a tortoise.
Yeah, that's just like a regular dry turtle.
She's like a sweet tortoise.
Yeah, it's just a big old dry turtle.
Not a mage trapped in a tortoise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, both are options.
Yeah.
But anyway, so again, end of winter, Eldritch underground animal. That means that we probably have a surplus of various wintertime magical side projects, right?
Yeah.
Specifically, stormwater. So what I wanted to do was look at and talk about what to do with stormwater. Hey, it's almost winter's over. What are you going to do with all these random vessels of water? Since the aliens aren't attacking and you don't live in the movie Signs, and you are all very lucky for that because it's okay at best. Right, let's be real. It was great when it first came out, and now in hindsight, right? But like, unless we're trying to fight off aliens that are specifically allergic to water, all of a sudden, surprise. What are you going to do with all this water? To start with, don't fucking drink it.
Yeah, first of all, definitely don't drink it.
Do not.
Only drink it if it's fresh and went straight from the sky into a clean receptacle.
Yeah, I think that
And
they
even
recommend that
then-
you don't drink sky
even
water
then,
no
we
more.
recommend
I mean,
that
like,
you don't.
listen. We've all been kids. We've all stood in the rain with our head up like a chicken, just lost in the falling of rain or whatever that is, I guess. So like, sure, yeah, whatever, dog, right? Like, all the cards on the table. I grew up at a time when like you just like went into people's yards to drink out of random hoses if you were thirsty during the summertime. But you don't get to do that stuff no more. We learned that that's a bad idea and we're all full of microplastics and lead because of it. You're welcome or something. Thank you. I don't know. Whatever. So yeah, don't do that. Drinking water, that comes from a different thing. Magic water, that comes from the sky or various other places, and you only use that for magic. They're different waters. I don't know, whatever, label it. So what do? Obviously, you can store this water, but I generally recommend immediately using it because storing water of questionable origin is like asking to get sick or to spread like some nonsense. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would say use it and then just collect summer rainwater during the summertime or charge shit another way.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that like the easiest, fastest go-to for this water, for me, I use it in two ways primarily when I'm collecting it and stuff like that. First is spring cleaning. So use that water to cleanse your altar space or whatever your like magical stuff is, right? And then the second way to do it is to water your garden.
Yes.
But that's fresh magic water. Just like how you shouldn't be drinking old ass water because you don't know what's growing in it because stuff be growing everywhere, right? Your plants don't need to be drinking old ass water neither. Why would you do that to them? That's not nice. Also, it's springtime. They're babies. Why are you giving babies questionably sourced food? Right? I mean, I know that like the food in a jar has been plus or minus questionably sourced sometimes.
Yes.
Depending on who's recalling what. But like, make sure that shit's safe. So like if you got like recent, like we are just at the tail end of a storm-ish. Like this water, if I had some, which I didn't put in any receptacles for, but like if I had some, I would just use that to like water my garden or whatever. Yeah. Right? And like if I had older water still for some reason, I'm very much a like collect it and immediately use it sort of person. I would probably use that for like some non-porous, non-rusting, closed cell magical item cleansing. Mm-hmm. So like nothing fabric, nothing wood, nothing metal, but like for like a ceramic nothing bread. I guess nothing bread. Yeah. If you just have bread on your altar of loose age, you got a bigger problem.
Just the absolute opposite of the thing that you said. That's true. Use. So I had to nothing bread.
Well, I mean, it fits. Bread is porous. So don't do that.
It is not closed cell.
That's true. You could use it as a sponge though to clean your altar.
I don't know that we recommend that. Yeah, maybe not.
I mean, don't eat it afterwards for obvious reasons, but is bread just a sponge?
Oh no, bread is just food sponge.
Bread is, well, I mean, sponge is also sometimes food sponge.
Sponge is also sometimes food sponge. Yeah. And then there's also like cake sponge.
Well, it's a sponge cake. That's different. It's a cake made entirely out of sponges. You wonder why that cake tastes so good? Made out of sponges.
You wonder why that cake is blue?
Yeah, why is that cake blue?
Sponges. Or is it yellow with green frosting? That's a sponge cake.
Yeah, that is such a great sponge cake, right? Could you imagine making like a square, like get your like square Pyrex, do like a yellow cake, but add a little bit extra food coloring so it's like bright yellow. Yeah. And then just like get like whatever your buttercream frosting or whatever the heck, and just add some green food coloring in it, and just like don't spread it smooth. Or secret from doing like spackle work and stuff, spread it smooth and then come back through with like a brush of some sort.
And like stipple it.
And just like stipple it so it looks like it's like kind of like, disturbed on the top.
And then you cut it into those like little brownie size.
Yeah, then you just got, hey, would you like a slice of sponge cake and present that to somebody? Watch the people that you work with be like,
See, I feel like
and then they see John eat a piece, and they're like, "All right, he ate a piece. He's fine. I'll have
I feel like the real secret, the real key to this cake to make it like really pop is
you gotta give it that like pine and lemon flavor, so it smells just a little like pine.
You have to do the sponge as a lemon sponge in the cake, and then the frosting has to be like pine,
just like a little bit, just like a hint of pine in there.
Just like how you hear that you put like pine in like a shortbread, or rosemary in shortbread. You can do rosemary, I guess, if you don't have pine near you. But
well, you get like a pine essence, or like a piney flavored like alcohol. And use that in your buttercream, like gin in your buttercream would probably do it. You just need like a little bit, just enough that as that person brings the like piece to their mouth, for just a moment they question whether or not you're trying to poison them. Just a little bit, right? And then they're like, "This is delicious," and you're like, "I know it is, but you were afraid." You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like that kind of thing.
Understandable. Cakes that look like things. I'm into it.
Yeah, cakes that look like other things.
Yeah,
I guess. Yeah. You've all seen that Japanese game show where they're like eating random household stuff to see if it's made out of food. Remember that? Where that man eats that doorknob made out of chocolate? That moment in time literally repeats a loop in the back of my head. Forever. That is going to be forever with me. That guy's face is every piece of existence. Perfect. They're all perfect. Like, I fucking love it so much, dude. That shit slays me. Anyway, so like those are my main two things. Water your garden, clean your altar with it. Don't use bread as a sponge unless you're trying to be randy about it. But like, I don't know. Like, what do you do with stormwater?
So, I think stormwater is, especially if you've had it for like a while, so you could use it in like a spell jar.
Oh yeah, spell jar.
Because you're not really going to be ingesting that.
Oh my God,
you wouldn't want to use like super old water, because if it does have like microbes in it, you don't really want to be adding other things for the microbes to feed upon.
Well, and if you're doing a spell jar and you're sealing it with wax or with like a lid or cork or anything like that, if your water is like a little alive, then it can generate pressure and burst the jar or shoot the lid out or like seep gorp out of the wax.
You could use it in a spell jar, but if it's old water, you probably want to boil it and then let it cool and then do that. But what I think is probably the best, aside from like, the watering of the plants and that sort of thing, is you can use it in spells outside. You could in essence pour one out for your homies.
Yeah, pour one out for your magical homies.
With this water. That's a great way to do it.
I do that fairly frequently.
You can also...
Not even with stormwater, just with any water I have. If there's like a little bit of liquid in the bottom of the stuff, I pour one out for my homies in the sea every time.
Yeah,
in my head, I say that every single time. It's just it slays me. Yeah. It's the funniest joke, and I know how lame it is. I don't care. Pouring one out for your homies in the sea is the best example of how to use water of any kind.
You can also utilize it by pouring it down the drain, and I that doesn't mean just like throw it out, right? But you can structure your spells in such a way where the act of you pouring that storm water, that like super energized storm water, or even like snow water, down the drain, is the thing that activates the spell. Yeah. In the same way that like it leaves and it's the catalyst.
Yeah.
So that's a great way to do it, because then you're not creating any mess. Everything's just in the sink. And especially if you are somebody who's like in the closet, then you can, you're basically just pouring something down the sink.
Yeah. So then somebody's like, what's going on? What's going on with that gross looking water bottle? And you're like, I must have left it outside. I'm just pouring it out or whatever the fuck. And they're just like, oh, that's gross. And you're just pouring it out, but on the inside, you're just like, doing spells. What's up?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Secret magic.
Yeah. It would be tempting to like pour it down the shower or like the bathtub. But again, if that water has microbes in any way, you don't really want that like on ya.
Yeah. Like being water safe with like, duh.
Yeah. Now, if you're looking to keep the water in the long term, because I know there's definitely some of you out there that want to keep that water in the long term for whatever reason, try keeping smaller amounts. Yep. And rather than keeping like a large, like, water bottle that you'd like, buy at the store to drink out of, like rather than keeping like a large amount of water, try keeping a small amount of water in a small decorative jar or bottle of some sort. And now that water is just, it resonates with that energy. You're not actually using the water. You're using the resonation of the water.
Yeah.
So rather than pouring the water into the thing, you use the small jar or bottle.
A Grolsch top bottle is going to serve best for that because those are designed to hold pressure. If it does get pressure, if you do have to open it, you have a lever for opening it. So that way it's not going to be like whole thing, and just like don't fill it all the way so you have airspace, because water is non-compressible, liquids are non-compressible, but gases are compressible. And like obviously, like, you know, like simple stuff, keep it out of the sunlight because that's going to cause any plant material in there, like algae and stuff, to grow. You know, so like think about that stuff.
And but that's like a good way to have the water. If it's getting gross, get rid of it. But like that's a really good way to have a variety of different waters available to you for whatever sort of magical purposes you may need. So you may want like gentle snow water on hand, or like raging storm water, or like, hey, this storm is like a hurricane water and it's going to knock out your power for a week. You know, that kind of stuff. You may want to keep that for its energetic reasons. And in that case, you just sort of like use that water like how you would use a crystal to charge something, but without putting the crystal in a thing. So you're not putting the water in the thing, you're putting it near or next to. Or using it as like a focus.
Well, it's like, you know, when you get like a piece of quartz that has a little bit of like old-timey liquid in it. You know, it's like that kind of a thing. So you can put it in a jar, you know, get it sealed up or whatever. So that way it's like nice. Obviously don't put it in something that's going to like degrade or whatever. You can also obviously just like soak your crystal in it, like get a bunch of bowls or whatever, right? Or like jars, and like get your like various storm waters and like soak your crystals in it, and then just like label those crystals. And like this is thunderstorm water, the selenite, or you know, like pretty drifting snow, the, you know, the quartz or whatever. You know, so you could always do that and just like kind of like make the connective tissue be like the manner in which you cleanse it or whatever. Like, I mean, I think the thing is with like stormwater and stuff is like, if you have a plan, you're gonna use it. But if you don't have a plan, you're essentially storing like questionably clean liquids.
Same thing really goes for like charged water, like moon charged water or stuff like that.
And see, that's the thing is that like, the way that I kind of look at this is all sort of like temporally relative. So like during the winter time when there's like storms and shit, you get storm water. And like if you live in a place where you have like summer storms, then obviously you can get like storm water there or whatever. But like during the summertime, you're going to get like moon water, or like, honestly, dude, like what's good magical water is sun tea. Like if you're going to make sun tea, you know, where you just like put a bunch of tea bags in like a glass vessel and just like set it out in the sun to whatever that is. Like just like use a little bit of that, right? I generally don't have any like liquids being saved for very long. They're generally like, you know, you put in a vessel, put on my altar, and then like tossed within, you know, a couple of days or whatever, just because like, you know, I'm not trying to have just like a bunch of fucking water over by like a bunch of stuff that's like some of it's like one of a kind, irreplaceable, or anything like that. And you know, I don't want to like rust some of my metal stuff or anything like that. But I do have a little tiny, I'm trying to think if I know exactly where it is so I can show you in the YouTube video. I think it's up there. I do have like a little tiny jar of water that I got while I was in France the second time, and it is not up there. Dang. That is like Grolsch top sealed that still has water in it from when I went to France. Man, I cannot believe I cannot find this water. I know it's just somewhere in here, and
you're gonna find it as soon as this video is over.
As soon as this YouTube video is over, I'm gonna be like, it's right here, bam. All right, well, whatever. If you've been over, you've probably seen it, because I've probably shown you. It's like this little tiny Grolsch top bottle of like a perfume bottle sort of size, you know, like smaller at the bottom, skinny at the top, of water that I collected from a naturally occurring spring that was blessed by the ghost of Mary.
Oh, yeah, we actually talked about this in an episode.
We talked about this in an episode. Yeah. So
pilgrimages. It was the pilgrimages episode.
Yeah. So like I have that, and like that's like old ass water or whatever, but like I'm not doing nothing with that water.
Yeah.
You know? Like that's that like it's sealed in a vessel. I don't even think that I've opened it since I came back from France. But like that's sealed in a vessel, and it's just like the vessel itself is the like magical item, you know. Again, it's that like water trapped in quartz or selenite or any of those other things, you know. So like that's kind of the way that I use it if I'm gonna like long term it or whatever. But even like my spell jars, those I generally don't keep around for more than like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah,
you know, just because like whatever, I don't want it to get gross or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but like, you know, like you said about like pouring it down, like you pour it down the drain and just use the like act of like the sort of like pouring out as like emptying a vessel if you're trying to like clear space for a new practice or a new thing. If you're trying to like remove something bad from your life, you can use the pouring out as like I'm gonna pour Bob right out of my life. Fuck that guy.
Yeah.
You know, or whatever. You know, Brenda, whoever, whatever. You know, so you could definitely do something like that with it. You can also do ritualistic cleansing that doesn't actually involve getting the water on anything.
Yeah.
Which is just sort of like waving the water above the thing or waving the thing above the water.
Yep.
And you can always just use the water for like, you know, like I said, like in the garden or something like that. I mean, you know, you can always just use the water as sort of like the act of collecting it is the thing that's charging. And then once it's collected and the storm's over, like, all right, the water's done being used, right? Get it out of there. And that vessel now contains that energy. You know, if you have like a particularly nice collection vessel, you know, then it's like, there you go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Totally.
So like those are sort of the things that I would approach stormwater with, you know, or like I mean, really, it's for me like it's more like winter water, right?
Yeah.
Because like moon water is the exact same stuff, but like I guess I don't really collect moon water during the winter.
Not really.
For me, the winter is like mostly stormwater.
Well, we generally only collect moon water when it's an especially auspicious moon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we remember that it is.
That's true. And then oftentimes we forget about the water itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it lives outside. And then we're like, oh, we got to pour that vessel out.
Yeah. What is this questionably old water? We don't remember why we collected it. Well,
or when.
Happy birthday to the fishes.
Yeah,
you know, because like all water returns to the ocean inevitably.
Yeah,
so I'm just like, it's no matter where you pour it,
you're just pouring one out for your homies in the ocean.
Yeah, for my homies in the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just where you pour stuff. Yeah, everything goes to the sea. Think about that next time you're trying to dump something that's suspicious.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Recycle or whatever. But you know, I mean, like, you know, like the old, like the way that I've seen, like, what was it in old popular mechanics magazines? They're like, do you have to get rid of motor oil? Go to your front yard and dig a 2-foot deep hole and then just pour it in the ground and cover it up. And like the article that I read was specifically about how bonkers it is that they used to say that was the thing you should do.
Yeah.
But like I read the thing and I was just like, I would strike a neighbor. Are you kidding me, my dude? Like, we know that's not safe. Yeah. What are you doing? Take it to the auto parts store or whatever the heck. They got a collection bin.
Yeah.
Hell, half the time they're not even going to bloody charge you. They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You know? You know? Like, damn, dude. Oh, it's so crazy to me.
It is.
But like, so like, obviously don't pour like questionable stuff onto the ground. That's like cool. Animals and shit. Like, that's dumb, dog. But yeah, you know, like, I know this wasn't going to be like a long one or whatever, but I just kind of wanted to kind of like go over like what to do as we approach the end of stormy season, right? We're gonna like, I inevitably always find at the end of winter, like at least one cup, jar, bottle, or like bucket placed in such a way where clearly this wasn't like me just being like, F this bucket and just like throwing it out into the garden. But where I was just like, like this is a good storm's coming. I'm going to set this bucket here. And then slam cut to like 2 months later when I'm just like, It's time for me to prepare for mosquitoes. I might as well get rid of all vessels that have even a tiny amount of water stored in them. And then I'm like, what's this bucket doing here? It's a weird place for me to put this bucket. Oh, I probably was doing a magical thing. All right.
Probably.
I'm going to pour this out or whatever. You know, like that kind of thing. So, yeah, like, you know, do what you got to do. You know what? A good way to do that, define a sacred tree on your property or in your yard or bush or plant or shrub, whatever. And then just like give it to that.
Yeah.
Right? And then that's just like a big magical battery. That's just
extra bonus is if that's your protection tree that you wrap your Shimenawa cord around.
Yeah, totally. So, and I do that all the time for the tree in our front yard.
Yeah,
where I'm just like, I don't know what this water is about, but clearly I did it on purpose. This is your water now.
Yeah.
So, you know, because I forget what I'm doing sometimes. it's just like a side effect.
Yeah.
But is there anything you like especially do with stormwater or anything like that?
I'm actually not really a storm or moon water using kind of person.
Sure.
I'm not generally using
not very wet.
Yeah, I'm generally not really using liquids like that.
Dry like these turtles you're talking about.
Yeah, dry like the tortoises.
Yeah, yes. Dry like the tortoise.
That's how you end up on that wizard trapped in a tortoise path, I guess.
Yeah. So if you're a wet wizard, do you get trapped in a dry tortoise or in a wet tortoise?
A turtle? I don't know. I think.
I assume no.
I feel like no, but also I don't know how long off the top of my head turtles live. I mean, you could, like a sea turtle, those live for a really long time.
Yeah, but those things are dope, dude. Like, who's trapping somebody in a sea turtle? It's that's like a rad thing to be trapped in, isn't it?
There is a species of shark that lives in the, like, northern Atlantic Sea out by, like, Iceland, who can live to be like several hundred years old. Like, they found one and they're able to, like, date them in a very specific
the rings
way.
In its teeth or something.
Yeah, and it's like 800 years old or something like that. So I feel like that's it.
Yeah,
it's
I assume that if you're a bad wizard and wet, so they got to get you. They can't give you the dry turtle.
Yeah.
I imagine they just give you one of those sea cucumber things that throws up its butthole as a defense mechanism, because that's just fucking embarrassing. Like, you're not going to be trapped in that for a little while, but like you're going to come out of that and be like, listen, I am mad reformed.
I think it depends on your crime. I think the animal that you're trapped in depends on your crime.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Sure.
Like, it really does.
It would explain the hate-filled-ness of most house flies and mosquitoes. Yeah. You're like, what did you commit? Misdemeanor? You got 24 hours in a mosquito, and you're like, man, that is fucking uncool. And they're like, well, you shouldn't have pickpocketed that other wizard. So 24 hours is a mosquito. Yeah. Go buzz, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Or like mosquito hawks.
Yeah, mosquito hawks.
Yeah.
Those things are assholes.
Yeah, they're awful. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So I think it depends.
Depends on your crime.
We're solving the problems of the world tonight.
What do you think about these wizard crimes and them being suffered into this stuff? Since clearly that was 50% of what this podcast episode was about is wizard crimes. We talk about and think about this constantly.
Yeah,
this is an unending conversation in our house.
All the time. Yeah.
Primarily because we have one example living in our house, but then we wonder, like, what else?
Are there others?
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a fair question.
It is a fair question, yeah. So chime in and let us know how you use your stormwater, and also what wizard, do you have a wizard who's been exiled into a creature? And if so, what is that creature? I guess the worst would be
a tree, right?
I mean, I don't know,
for like a real long time.
I feel like that Greenland shark is maybe the worst of it, because that thing lived like 800 years.
Yeah.
800 years.
I think shit.
And then I think they found an older. I think they found one that was like even older than that.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think shit in like the deep ocean lives for like a long ass time.
Yeah.
So then you're living in like the cold darkness.
Like, that's like a pretty heinous crime. That's
backslash everything that lives in the like deep darkness is a nightmare.
Like a Voldemort level crime.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You know.
He killed like what, 20 people?
I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know what his crime was.
A lot of things, I guess. Yeah. So let us know what your thoughts are.
Yeah. And don't lightning a baby, or they're gonna lock you in a snake, because he got locked in a snake, and then the back of a guy's head.
Yeah.
Which, that's awful, man.
Yeah.
Be trapped in the back of a guy's head I don't know about that.
Yeah, you can ask Miss Marvel from X-Men or Rogue.
Trapped in the back of a guy's head?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I believe Miss Marvel is trapped in Rogue's mind space because that's how Rogue gets her powers to fly. Is it Miss Marvel? I think it's Miss Marvel.
Yeah,
It
I do know what you're talking about. No, I mean physically trapped in the back of his head.
Well,
because that was just a face in the back of a face.
Miss Marvel was also physically trapped in the back of the,
that's fair.
in the
That's fair.
mind
That's
space.
fair. That's fair. I'll allow that. I think it was Miss Marvel.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And it's been a long time since I thought about that.
I think about that all the time.
About being trapped in a mind space?
Or about trapping someone else in a mind space. It doesn't matter. I think about it a lot.
That's fair. Yeah. It's very like
X-Men 1997.
Cenobite, like it's very torturing. What is that being John Malkovich? Any of those like psychological torture ones?
Yes.
Right, where you're like trapped in a mind.
Yeah.
You know? Any of that stuff. That was like real hot for like a cool 5 years, you know?
It really was.
Yeah, it was real
that was
hot.
like a big thing.
Yeah. Mind stuff. Whatever, I guess. Yeah, anywho, what do you do with your stormwater? How do you storm or water? What do you feel about homies in the sea? / wizards who committed crimes and are being put in other animals. Or whatever that is. Yeah, I guess that's all I really had. This was going to be like a...
This is like a weird little short episode.
Like a fun little short episode about weird stuff. So whatever. Either way, I've been John Norgrove. This has been Julie Norgrove. This has been The Horn
and Cauldron
Podcast. Pub Chat Edition, because we're drinking. If you look at the video, I'm drinking. Don't worry. And shout out to our patrons. You guys are the best. I don't have the list of names in front of me, but I'm going to have the thing up because I'm not prepared. We've talked about this. And honestly, like my eyes have burned because I was up until like 2 o'clock in the morning yesterday updating Patreon stuff because I had to manually update every single thing in Patreon.
Yeah, so we got some cool new updates about that coming for you soon. So stay tuned for that. But
yeah, we're gonna do a video where we go over all the deets, like publicly or whatever. So you all know what's going on with that. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be good. You're going to like it. It's going to be fun. This is the best updates. I don't know. Whatever. Be safe with magical water and stay magical, folks.
Yeah. And don't forget, breathe in self-confidence and breathe out self-doubt.
You never know when that's going to happen. Because I never know when I'm going to say my part. That's just how that works. Chaos reigns.